Hey sunshine, it's Cady from DarkSunlight. Welcome back to my BUJO Bite series. It can be overwhelming to get started with bullet journaling, so my goal with this series is to break it down into easily consumable, bite-sized videos. In this episode, we'll talk about the grid spacing guide. I'm not sure who originally came up with the idea for this one, but I think it was popularized by Amanda Rach Lee, as I've seen her designs copied across many a bullet journal for years, including my own. Whoever came up with it, though, is a genius, as it's an amazing reference and time saver to have in your bullet journal. The point of this page is to create a reference for the specific dimensions of the grid spaces in your notebook, so they will be different across different sizes and brands of bullet journals. The idea is to be able to look back at this spread to quickly identify how many grid spaces you need to set up your layout exactly how you want it. One pro tip I have for you before you start is to make sure you always set it up on the left side of your spread. That way it's easiest to flip back to and reference. And you can even slightly bend your paper to see where lines need to go if you don't feel like counting. One way to start is to number the grid spaces on your page, one column going down and one row going across, so you'll always know the number of boxes across the full height and width of your notebook. I don't do this in my current notebook because I've used the same type of notebook for years and I know the numbers by heart. The next step is to create lines or boxes to show the divisions you'll most commonly be using in your setups. The most basic division is in half. This way, if you need to center something on your page, you'll know exactly how many grid spaces you need to count to find the middle. In my notebook, you can see I need to count 13 grid spaces across to find the vertical center and 19 grid spaces down to find the horizontal center. You can then continue to add lines for dividing the page into thirds, quarters, and fifths, both horizontally and vertically. I tend to do 2 versions of each when possible to show an example of a split with no spaces in between the sections and one with spaces in between the sections. I then make sure to add the number of grid spaces for each section to the end of the line, so I know exactly how many to count when creating my layout. So let's check out an example. I want to set up a weekly spread that has a vertical layout with 7 days across the whole spread. I could fit 4 days onto one side and 3 on the other. So let's take a look at our choices for dividing into quarters. Looks like we can make each day 6 grid spaces wide if they all touch, or 5 grid spaces wide if we want a space in between. Personally, I know I want more space to write, so let's go with the 6. Now you know exactly how wide each box needs to be to create a nicely spaced out weekly spread. This one even allows extra space for a notes box or a doodle on the side if you want. Let's take a look at one more example. Let's say we want to set up a weekly spread with our days in 2 rows, so 4 days across, meaning 2 on each page. So let's check out our options for dividing in half. Here we can see we need to count 11 grid spaces to fit 2 boxes on the page with a space in between them, and 17 grid spaces to make 2 rows with a space in the middle. You can see in this weekly setup that the boxes are 11 across and 17 down. I've also seen other versions of the grid spacing guide created using boxes for the divisions instead of lines. You can set it up however you like, just depending on what makes the most sense to you. Another option is to have your grid spacing guide on a separate piece of paper that you pop into the back of your notebook, or maybe washi tape to the edge of the cover so you can flip it out when needed. If you found this video useful, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon next to it to be notified every time I upload a new video. And also don't forget to follow me over on Instagram at dark_sunlight. I post more bullet journal content over there, as well as how my bullet journal looks when it's all filled in. That's it for today. As always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time.